recent conflicts, many states have been suffering from LPG shortages. Right now, we are at National Chemical Laboratory, and with us we have Director Ashish sir, who will guide us in future. Will the LPG shortage that every state is facing right now, is there any alternative measure that can be used? So, as you have told me, like DEM plant would be the alternative measure for the alternative use for the LPG shortage. So, could you please help us to understand what is the DEM plant basically?
So this is dimethyl ether, DME. It is made from methanol as a feedstock. That is our technology. We convert methanol into dimethyl ether using a catalyst. The catalyst is our real innovation. The catalyst is so efficient that it converts 100% methanol into dimethyl ether with 100% purity. Dimethyl ether has the same properties as LPG. LPG is propane gas liquefied. So we pressurize LPG, propane gas in a cylinder which is used in our kitchens. It becomes liquefied petroleum gas. DME has exactly the same properties. It is a gas, but when you pressurize it to 7 bar, the same pressure, it will also liquefy, and therefore is exactly identical to LPG. Why is LPG important? LPG is a liquid fuel that has reached the nooks and corners of this country. Every kitchen in this country can have LPG. Whereas gas, which is cooking gas as we call it, which we use in Pune, cities like Pune, gas is not easy to supply gas to rural, long distant places. Cylinders is very easy to supply. That is the importance of LPG. Okay. Therefore, for cooking fuel, it is important to replace LPG. Therefore, you need a fuel which has the same properties as LPG. You can liquefy it, you can mix it with LPG, you can fill it in the same cylinder. That is the importance of dimethyl ether, number one. Number two, dimethyl ether with our technology can be completely indigenously produced. We do not have to depend on outside countries. So A, it is a alternative to LPG. B, it can be produced in India so that we become Atmanirbhar, we become self-reliant. And in such kinds of disruptions that are happening in the world, we will not be so much affected by that. That has been our vision to develop this technology.
So, if we talk about in a terms of economic perspective, do LPG gas are more expensive, or DEM plants are more expensive for the people that can be used in the household as well as in the restaurants?
Yeah. When you do cost comparison, you have to do comparison at the same scale of utilization. Okay. So we are using LPG today in millions of tons per year in India at an India national scale, right? So we have to compare with dimethyl ether at the same scale. So what if dimethyl ether is also produced at millions of tons per year scale? Then our calculation says that at that scale, the cost of producing dimethyl ether will be actually 15 to 20% lower than the cost of LPG, which means we have two advantages. One is we produce fuel at lower cost. Number two, we don't depend on outside countries for imports.
So, as we have seen, like, can you even explain us like how, like, as we have seen, the normal stove which we use in a household does not have these type of nostrils, but DEM like plant, as you have told, the gas has these type of nostril. So, what could be a basic advantage and the disadvantage of the LPG as well as these type of gases?
So what I'm showing you now is a 100% DME combustion. Okay. So this is the cooking stove. It is attached to a 100% DME cylinder. So it's not mixed with LPG. So DME, while it has the similar properties which I said, at 7 bar pressure it liquefies, which is what is there. It's under 7 bar pressure, it's liquefied. But it has slightly lower calorific value, heat value of the fuel compared to LPG. So if you want to have the same cooking experience, that is, let's say I'm boiling 1 liter of milk in the morning, I want to boil it in the same time, right? So in order to make that happen, the stove design is a little different, so that the same amount of heat is provided by DME instead of LPG. Okay, so there's a small modification that we have done. The nozzles, as you see here, are little different than our usual stove.
Yeah.
Okay, I will show you how it combusts. You will see that the flame is very similar to LPG.
Okay.
Okay. So it's the same blue flame.
Yeah.
As you see in LPG, we can also control the size of the flame.
Sir, if we talk about in terms of safety as well as environmental impact, how does DEM is when compared to the like the normal LPG we use at a home?
Right. So dimethyl ether is actually a cleaner fuel. It produces less soot, okay, carbon particles. It produces less nitrous oxide, NOx emissions. It produces less sulfur oxide, SOx emissions. So it's a cleaner fuel than LPG. Uh, so when you mix LPG and DME, you actually end up getting a cleaner fuel. And of course, if you use 100% DME, you get a very clean fuel.
So as you have even told us about these plants, like can you just say like how much tons was these plant as well as these plant were being seen over there?
So this is our first pilot plant, which is a lab pilot plant, and it produces about 10 to 12 kilograms per day of DME. Okay, it has the reactor and it has downstream purification, distillation columns, and so it's a small plant producing about 10 to 12 kilograms per day. The current plant, which you see in this picture, is 20 times bigger than this. It produces 250 kilograms per day, and this is being set up at our industry partner site in Mulshi, near Mulshi. This will actually use methanol coming from biomass. So this actually will be a green fuel. It's a very, very clean fuel.
So if we produce DEM for a large scale of time, will the dependency on other like other nations will be reduced for the LPG shortages? Or because if we produce it in the large number, so everything is dependent on India rather than depending on the other parts.
That is exactly the point. We want to increase our self-reliance. We want to decrease the dependency on other countries. So to do that, we have to move in steps. So we first do 10% substitution, and even 10% substitution would mean that we will reduce the imports by almost 2 million tons per annum. It's not a small number, right? If you do 20%, it will be even double than that. 4 million tons, 5 million tons, we can reduce the imports. In the long run, in the future, you can completely eliminate LPG and 100% substitute with DME, but it's not going to happen tomorrow. We'll have to be realistic and say in what are the best steps in which we can do this progress.
Thank you, sir. So as we have seen, like there's a bit of step by step going for like completely not depending on the LPG shortages. Like as we have seen, every state, every city is now facing the LPG shortage. This alternative fuel, like this alternative, can help us every household as well as every restaurant owner to get like they can go with restaurant working and everything. But in upcoming days, we have to see will this bring a good impact as well as nowadays due to the international conflicts we have seen the entire LPG shortage is going in every part of the state. This is Harjit Kaur with camera person Ajay from Pune Times Mirror.